Little Lisa Irwin.
I have been asked to come out here to find Lisa.
Call the TIPS hotline if you know where she's at.
I think our detectives are doing what people would expect they were doing.
The latest search, a lot of people here searching for Lisa Irwin.
That search didn't turn up any kind of evidence or any kind of clues.
But investigators reportedly got surveillance video that shows the mother of the missing girl shopping with a mystery man.
There's zero doubt in Deborah.
The neighbor told Fox 4 News she saw a man walking in the neighborhood with a baby.
There's a bad guy out there, or bad people, with this child.
We're working hard in all directions, no doubt about it.
Nobody's sleeping.
These folks have been up round the clock.
Nobody's eating.
We're still full steam ahead.
I can't be without her.
Our main priority, our #1 goal is to find this child.
Come through my line, they had a box of wine, some baby wipes, and baby food. Now, she did 2 separate purchases. She did the baby stuff first, and then the box of wine. And that was it.
Right. Did you find that to be odd, or?
Not really. I mean, most people buy wine all the time.
That is grocery store clerk Rebecca Guerrero, and she's joining us tonight live. Rebecca, any idea who the man is that was with Mommy buying wine? Who is that?
I believe he's a close friend of theirs.
Of who?
Of the parents.
Have you seen them together before?
Yes, I have.
Together with the mommy or with the mommy and the daddy?
Both.
Okay. Everybody, we are taking your calls. We are live in Missouri in the heartland. A 10-month-old baby girl goes missing from her own home. Back to CNN correspondent Ed Lavandera. Ed, what more can you tell us?
Well, you know, it was interesting to watch. You've been talking to Rebecca there, and we just left the grocery store that's less than a mile away from where we are here. And I thought it was interesting, and we looked at all of the surveillance tape that they have. They were in that store for about 6 minutes, and this is about 5.5 hours before, according to what police have told us, that Deborah had put baby Lisa down to sleep at about 10:30. The demeanor was very calm. They were in that store for about 6 minutes. Rebecca talked about how it was very casual. Everything seemed normal. In fact, in the very last clip that you see when you watch Deborah and that man walking out of the grocery store, she seemed to have a smile on her face. So any kind of sign of any kind of trouble, you don't really see it in that video.
Well, I've got a question, Ed Lavandera. When she was at the grocery store buying wine with this guy, where was the baby?
You know what? I asked Rebecca that question because Rebecca talked about she's worked at that store for about 2 years and said that it was very common. A lot of times she'd see Deborah come in with the children. A lot of times she'd come in to the store without the children. They always kind of made a point of talking about them and that sort of thing. And I asked Rebecca that. Did you ask where the children were that day? Why no kids? And she didn't. So we don't really have an answer to that at that point. But it was one of the first questions that I thought about when I saw the video.
Hey, Ed, who else was in the home at the time the baby went missing? I know the mom was there. I know the father was at work.
Right. Mom has another son from another relationship, an older son, and the father, Jeremy, also has a son from another relationship. So my understanding is both of those boys, they're under the age of, I think, 6 and 8. They're both under the age of 10. They were at home as well. One officer had told me that they had been watching a movie in the same room together and perhaps had fallen asleep in that room together. But those two boys were definitely home.
And Ed, what can you tell me about the neighborhood? It's a residential community, but what more can you tell me?
You know, it's interesting. We've spent a lot of time clearly over here over the more than a week that we've been in this neighborhood. It's a working class neighborhood. It was interesting. Somebody made a comment that someone was looking for a handyman, and one neighbor had told us, it's like that. There's a handyman on every corner here. So it's definitely a working class neighborhood. They all seem to know each other. Very friendly.
What you're saying, Ed, I get
simple physics.
Beverly and Georgia.
It's just very strange.
The baby just vanished.
Just disappeared.
Only hours before baby Lisa was reportedly abducted, Mommy is at this nearby grocery store with this strange man who is not, by the way, not baby Lisa's father.
Search for the missing baby girl, 10-month-old Lisa Irwin. They didn't find anything in that well.
They did not find any concrete evidence of anything.
If the mom told the police that she had gone to that supermarket and made those purchases, there's nothing strange about that at all.
I don't get it. This baby is sleeping just feet away from the mother. She hears nothing, and apparently in the middle of the night, she checks on the baby at 10:30 p.m. When the dad gets home from the night shift at 4 a.m., they go in to look. The baby is gone. I want to go to Alexis Tereszchuk, senior reporter, RadarOnline.com. Alexis, is it the father that noticed the front door? Was it open or was it unlocked, Alexis?
It was just unlocked, Nancy. He had come home from work. It was the middle of the night. But what he said was so strange is almost every light in the house was on, so that really gave him some worry. He started walking around the house. He checked on his boys. They were fine. And then he checked on his little baby girl, and she was missing. He said he woke up his wife. They panicked, but there were no cell phones in the home. For some reason, there were 3 cell phones that were plugged in on the kitchen counter normally, and none of them were there. I'm not sure why the husband didn't have his cell phone
Alexis,
with him.
have they been recovered? Have they been recovered, Alexis?
No.
The cell phones, have they been found?
No, they have not been
that's
found.
Extremely odd. I want to go back to Mark Class from Class Kids Foundation. Mark, you were mentioning that when your daughter Polly was abducted, her mom did not hear anything. You know, every night the twins come in and they get in bed with me, and I've got to tell you something, I know better, because Lucy will be right there at the bed, getting into the bed before I know that she's there. In other words, I didn't hear her door. I didn't hear her coming in my room. I hear nothing. And then there they are, both of them. So I'm not saying that this couldn't have all happened without the mom hearing anything. But what do you make of all the lights being turned on, somebody taking cell phones, the front window being open? Why would the window be open and the door unlocked? I think it through, Mark.
Well, I have a lot of problems with that too. If the door was unlocked, why even bother with the window? Why not just open the door and go in? Now, the father said that that whoever did this knew their way in and around the house. They knew where the baby was and how to get to the baby, which again brings it back very locally. And I think that that's why the law enforcement is so focused on this neighborhood and seemingly this neighborhood alone.
Jeremy Irwin calls 911 to report his 10-month-old baby daughter Lisa was missing from her crib.
Our 2 other boys are waiting for her, please.
Find the guilty party.
Another disheartening day.
And return Lisa home safely.
Just drop her off anywhere.
As the search for this little baby girl continues.
I knew then that they must be searching for the baby, Lisa.
We don't care. Just somewhere safe.
Who is this mystery man that she is allegedly, purportedly getting wine with?
The mom and dad right now are victims, and they shouldn't be treated as suspects.
Where she can come home, please.
This infant's mother is preparing for the possibility that she will be arrested.
You hear about it, but you don't think it's going to happen right here beside you.
Please.
Can you describe her demeanor? What was she like? Was she acting strange in any kind of way?
She had a smile on her face. I mean, like she always does when she comes in here. She, loves her kids to death.
That last person speaking was store clerk Rebecca Guerrero with us live tonight. We're all taking your calls. Take a look at 10-month-old baby Lisa, allegedly snatched out of her own crib just feet away from her mother as they lay sleeping. Also in the home, 2 minor boys under the age of 12, daddy working the night shift. Mommy caught on surveillance video just hours before baby Lisa goes missing, buying baby food, baby wipes, and a box of wine. My question is, where was the baby at that time? Everybody, we are taking your calls, but unleash the lawyers. Joining me tonight, Hugo Rodriguez, defense attorney, former Fed with the FBI out of Miami. Pilar Prince, defense attorney, Atlanta. First to you, Hugo. Mommy says she's taken a polygraph and she's afraid she failed. Weigh in.
If she did it voluntarily. She must know the results, or her counsel must know the results of the test. But in her emotional state, she is grieving what she is going through. That wouldn't be unusual at all.
Hugo.
Yes.
No. Every polygrapher will tell you that emotions do not play into whether you pass or fail a polygraph. But in her defense, when somebody flunks a polygraph, it could be, have you ever used drugs? And in college, they smoked a joint. And they go, no. I mean, it could be something like that that makes her fail
first, Nancy,
the polygraph.
Having litigated the polygraph issue, I don't buy some of them saying that emotions don't affect you. It is psychosomatic.
Whatever.
In all of those senses. And she's in a very difficult situation. You as a mother would know. So I wouldn't give it credibility one way or another, either way.
Yeah, well, you know what, Pilar Prince, all defense attorneys say that when their clients fail the polygraph, but then when they pass the polygraph, they run into the courthouse like, they've got a scalp fresh off somebody's head in their hand to wave it in front of the prosecutor. So, you can't have your cake and eat it too. It doesn't work that way. But this is what I know. I know that polygraphs typically are not affected by emotions because everybody's uptight and emotional when they take a polygraph, because you're taking a polygraph because there's a big problem brewing. But what I want to talk to you about is, first we hear the parents are cooperating, then we hear they're not cooperating. Why would parents not cooperate in the investigation for the search of their child?
Nancy, the parents were cooperating. What we heard from the parents is they took a break. We don't know how long this was going on. Maybe these poor parents were questioned for 10 hours. They're emotional. Their daughter is missing. Maybe they said, we haven't eaten in 10 hours. We need to get some sleep and we'll come back tomorrow. And this whole thing got blown out of proportion. So I don't think them taking a break means that they weren't cooperating. They clearly came back and they are cooperating.
Okay, that's very interesting, Pilar, because if my children were missing, if one of them were gone, there would be no break. There would be no break until I either found my child or I found the person that took my child. There would not be a break. But let's get down with the facts on that. Zarel, what do we know? Parents cooperating, not cooperating?
Well, what happened was that up until last Thursday, the parents were cooperating. Now, the dad says he claims that he needed a break, and then an hour later, police came out and said that the parents are not cooperating anymore. Parents immediately go on all the morning shows the following day, say we are cooperating, we just needed a break. By Saturday, they're all talking again, and we just spoke to police a few moments ago. They are still cooperating with police as of now.
I wonder what that means, Tom Shamshak. They're now cooperating. Shamshak, former police chief, private investigator, instructor at Boston University. What does that mean? Have you ever seen parents of missing children take a break from the investigation?
Good evening, Nancy. Not necessarily. Look, they could have, been, as one of the earlier commentators suggested, under tremendous amount of stress. Now, having said that, from my experience, law enforcement is going to come down very heavy with these two people, the mother and the father. And that's very stressful in and of itself. But what they got to get back to here, Nancy, is you talked about the crime scene in the bedroom. They have to make sure that this was not staged. So they're going to thoroughly see if there's trace evidence, dirt from the outside, inside, fingerprints, to see if there was some kind of fibers associated with the removal of the window there. They're grappling with that, and they're going to be very, very aggressive with this woman. So I can understand that maybe they wanted to go have a chat with an attorney.
Okay, I hear you. I hear all of you, the defense attorneys and Shamshak, talking about people needing a break. Whatever. But I don't buy they needed a break in the investigation to find their daughter. Maybe something else was brewing, something else that's absolutely innocent. But when your child is missing, I don't think you take a break from searching for her. Out to the lines, Allison in New Jersey. Hi, Allison. What's your question?
Hello, Nancy. Great job on Dancing with the Stars, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Did you see my split at the end? I got my foot stuck in my dress.
Great job.
Forget about that. New week. What's your question on this case, love?
Well, I have a couple questions, more than enough questions. But one question is, if she has two young boys, 6 and 8 years old, where were they? And they're old enough to talk and to say, hey, mommy was with this guy, mommy was drinking. A box of wine holds about at least 2 to 3 bottles of small wine. So there's, and did the police check to see how much wine was out of that box? If this lady was
what?
Really drunk?
Hold Allison in New Jersey. Hold her for a moment, because that's